Hey, everybody. Welcome to the 11th episode of the Most Entertaining Podcast. I'm your host for today's episode, Toby. Joining me today are two TME regulars, Anu and Rafa. How are you guys doing today?
Great. Nice to be here as well.
Yeah, same. Feeling good.
Awesome. Good to see you guys again. The Premier League is underway. Today is the kickoff weekend of the Premier League, and everybody's getting those good feelings back. Obviously, it's been a long summer. We did have some football over the summer, but nothing like a good old Premier League Barclays football. So now, obviously, everybody's tuning in. Twitter is getting lit again. Everybody is, the memes are coming back, the trolls are coming back. Oh, it's going to be a good long season, and we'll see who's going to come up on top. So last week we did our top six from sixth place to first place. Now we're gonna do something a little bit different. We're gonna be continuing the Premier League predictions, but this time for seventh to 12th place. And additionally, we're gonna do a few awards afterwards. So stick around and let's see what we're gonna talk about. All right. So the order of today's predictions will move from 12th place up until seventh place. We'll go through each person in the panel one by one, but we'll do it, position by position. So obviously, we're gonna get started. Anu, who is your 12th place prediction for the Premier League season?
Sure. So for this spot, I am gonna go with Bournemouth, and it's mostly because they lost most of their defense. In like the past few months. I think they've got a very good manager there. A lot of their attack has stayed. I know that Semenyo signed a new deal like last month or something like that, and they've kept a lot of the midfield as well. But because they lost four of their back five, I know that will take some time to like get used to. Of course, I know they have a new keeper, have a new left back as well as a new center back as well. So I think just like for the team cohesion, that will probably take a few months to like properly settle. Hence why I will put Bournemouth at 12th.
Fair shout. Rafa, who's your pick for 12th?
Bournemouth, good shout. Bournemouth, good shout. Like I saw the game they put against Liverpool. It was crazy because I thought the game was going to end in a draw, and yeah, they kind of just lost it. I think it's more of like the will I say the Liverpool aura just came in at that point when the big teams trying to win the first game of the season. There's nothing you could do about it, and that's where it is. So yeah, Bournemouth is a good shout for me. For 12th place, I actually go with like an unconventional pick. It's gonna be a team that just got promoted to the Premier League, and for me, Sunderland. I'm picking Sunderland for 12th place because I won't even lie, I was actually shocked to see the team that got promoted win a Premier League game on the first day of the season. There's no there's no bigger, will I say like a bigger shout when I say like big bollocks, that's literally what it was. Like coming in on the first day of the Premier League and a certain dominance against, and it's not like they beat a Premier League regular that has been here for a long time, and that is West Ham. And they came in the Stadium of Light. Stadium of Light has always been a fun place. I don't know that if you're talking about like proper Premier League, if you're talking about like vintage proper Premier League stadiums, you talk about Stadium of Light. It's always been there from all the time we've known. I don't know. Sunderland have always been like a proper regular Premier League side. I don't know what happened. Like since 2017, they got this thing relegated and they haven't come back in like 8 years. And now they're making a return. And I feel them coming back this season, I think they're coming to stay. They're not going to go back. I think the last 3-4 seasons, we've seen the same set of teams get promoted and get relegated. So this season, I feel there's going to be a change, and Sunderland will I say they're big on that because Sunderland, like I said, winning on the first day of the Premier League it takes a lot. Normally, a big team comes in, they do well, they play well. You see, like how Bournemouth, they play so nice, then you lose, and everyone is talking about like they put in a good fight and everything. But they went for a clean sheet against West Ham. Wow, that's to me that it takes a lot, and I feel anyway, when we get deeper, I'll talk about my surprise package of the season. But yeah, Sunderland for me, 12th position. Yeah. And you, Toby.
You know what? Sunderland is a very, very like I don't want to say aggressive, but it's super bold, and I like the fact that you put Sunderland up there. From all the teams, coming up from the championship, I think they're the ones making the biggest moves in the transfer market, trying to like really make that move so that we want to stay in the Premier League this year. Like you said, this is what we need. This is what the Prem needs. It's been getting too obvious this last couple of years. Three teams come up, those three teams go down. I think this year we're gonna see something different. All the teams that are gonna come in are gonna actually, switch things up and make a difference this year. For me, 12th place, I'm gonna go with Everton. The reason why I pick Everton is because of like all the options. The way I looked at it, I did this for all the teams. Obviously, you're gonna think about it from a romantic point of view. For me, I'm always gonna think about that. What are the fan base gonna dream to achieve, as well as what business have they done over the summer? Also considering all their rivals. I think the thing with Everton is like this is a fair place for them. Obviously, a year, 2 years ago, it was very scary because they were afraid that they might get relegated, and obviously they moved into their new stadium, so it's a very big season for them. They've been able to get in our boy Jack Grealish from Manchester City, which I thought was a very, very big move for them. Obviously, like at the beginning of the window, we probably didn't feel like Everton was a move that Jack would actually accomplish or finish. But this is a really, really big decision from David Moyes and the Everton people to be able to get him to convince him to make the move from Manchester to Merseyside. So I'm gonna go Everton. They have a lot of creative players in Ndaya as well. I think they will be able to score a couple goals. They have a decent defense. They're a very interesting team to watch. I don't think they'll be able to like go past the top 10. I think there are a lot of teams that have, more creativity, more goals in them. But I think Everton will be like a steady Eddie, somewhere in the middle of the table. So I think 12th would be a good place for them. So next we're gonna go
Yeah,
to the position. I know who you're gonna go for 11.
Sure. So for this spot, I'm gonna go with Fulham. Fulham. I think Fulham have a very underrated manager. First things first, but also I think most of the squad has like been in like the same place for like the past 3 years at least, and I think that's like very very helpful for sure. But also the most important thing is they've not really lost a lot of their top players. They've not lost their left back. They've not lost Smith Rowe either. So I think just the fact that they managed to get like the same team playing pretty much for like the last 3 years has been like the same team on the pitch, and I think the confluence of like those three factors from the manager to the squad to actually managing to not lose their best players. That's why they're going to be 11th.
yeah. Fulham,
Rafa,
Fulham,
what about you?
Fulham are actually a very good side. Yeah, but I hear it. For 11th, I'm going with Brighton. Brighton are, well, I say this season they're playing in the Europa League. Yeah, they're playing in Europe this season. So I think it's going to take a toll on them. That's just what I think. And Brighton are a team that I think for the past 4, 5 seasons they've been doing. How would I say they've been going? They've been on the up. They lose their best players, and you think that is it for them. They're finished, but they always come up with a surprise. They always come up with like something. This summer now they lost Jao Pedro. They've lost their manager last season. They lost even what's the name? Their best player right now, Baleba, is subject to a transfer from Man United, and Brighton never still really shake. It's still the same team, and I feel this season normally the fact that they're playing in Europe and everything, I feel it's going to take a toll on them, and they wouldn't. I don't think they would finish in the top 10. So for 11th, I would say Brighton. Brighton are they're there at the Premier League side. They're never leaving, but I think their top half finishes in the last 2, 3 years have been very good. But this season, I feel the the fact they play in Europe is gonna affect them a bit. So yeah, yeah, probably finish 11th.
You know what's interesting? Speaking on Fulham as well as Brighton, neither of them are in my list at all. I think for different reasons, I have them not performing as well this year. I think for me with Fulham is that I wanted more from them in the transfer window in terms of improving the squad. Although I do admit consistency as a team is very very helpful, and then you make a good argument. I know when you say like obviously they have a great coach, they have a good team that's already been together for a long time. They did not lose their big starters. So if they can maintain their level, they might be able to use that consistency to go up in the league. On the other hand, I feel like, oh, if they have been figured out and they don't really have any new weapons, people might understand their game very well and be well prepared for them. So it can go either way with Fulham. And I think similarly with Brighton, my thing for me is like because they have that model of continuously selling big stars and them being able to recruit really well has protected them. Eventually, at some point, it might not be able to work out. And I think all the other teams have been able to get to a level where they've been able to bring in a lot of talent. Brighton obviously, brings in very unheard of, uncut gems and tries to like build them up to sell off. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I'm not feeling that vibe from Brighton this year. I think they're just going to be short in terms of top 12. So my spot for number 11 is actually going to be Crystal Palace. I would have loved to keep Palace higher up in the table, but the reason why I went for 11th place is because of how the way the transfers are looking. They might lose some of their heavy hitters in Gay as well as Eberechi Eze. I think we already mentioned that earlier in the pod. But obviously, for those same reasons, I think they could be higher up if they kept them and if they did retain them. But it's not looking good. But they do have a really, really fantastic coach in Glasner, who I think can really push them to the next level. So this is a really big time for Crystal Palace. If they can decide to like switch the mindset and invest in the squad, Palace could be a top 8 side if they decide to switch the mindset. But right now, it still feels like they're willing to sell. But if they're going to sell, this needs to be the last time they behave as a selling club. From now
And
on, they need to switch the mindset and start to invest, especially if they want to keep Glasner. So 11th place is Crystal Palace for me. The picks were Fulham for Aanu, Brighton for Rafa, and Crystal Palace for Toby. Next, we're going to go to 10th place. A, who's your pick?
Sure. So the 10th, my pick is Brighton actually. So I think because they're not playing in Europe this season, and as well as the fact that that team tends to have a lot of goals in them. The main problem was that they did tend to also they had a pretty leaky defense. So they actually conceded 59 goals last season, which was like the sixth most in the league or something like that. So they really need to fix that defense. But as long as the people who are in like the front line score goals, I'm pretty sure that the teams such as Brighton, they should finish 10th.
yeah,
All right,
Brighton.
all right.
For me now, for 10th, I would probably say Everton. Everton, just as you said before, I think Everton this season with the transfers they've made, they got what's his name, Grealish. They even got Drewsby Hall as well. I think they're gonna put in like a top half finish for me. Like, and the fact that they're in their new stadium, and I feel the vibes and everything are actually going well for them. They have a manager that they like. I think he's more of like he's like I won't say culture manager. He's one of their great managers. He was there for the longest. If anyone grew up Premier League football, you know David Moyes was always Everton before recent times. You just think about like West Ham and all of that, but normally he's a place that is he understands the club well. That's why he was able to save their season when he came in. They got a manager that understands them properly. They have like a good squad. They signed some people, and I feel Everton is only just they can only just get better. And this season, I feel they have just enough in the bank to put in a top half finish, a top 10 finish. So yeah, 10 position for me is Everton, and the fact that they don't have Europe or anything, so it's just like having to just focus on the Premier League football every weekend with the kind of players they brought in. It make no mistake, these players they brought in, they're actually good players. Most of all these players they play. Drewsby Halls played at Chelsea. Jack Grealish was at Man City. Like they got a lot of experience in their area, all of them. Like these are not like will I say these are players that have played at the highest level. So for a team to recruit all these kind of players in that side, you know that okay, yes, they got what it takes to like muster something this season. And for me, yeah, a top half, top 10 finish, yeah, is on the cards for Everton. So yeah, Everton for me, 10th position.
I can definitely see that for Everton for sure. At the end of the day, like, however you feel about David Moyes, he's a competent coach. And with the squad that they're assembling now, you know, it's always obvious to everybody that in Merseyside, Liverpool is the big team. But I think people can say that, there's a feeling that Everton is definitely underperforming with how big they could be. Especially when, you talk to people or you listen to people who talk about Everton in the 70s, 80s, they used to be a much bigger club, challenging for the best honors in England. So I think definitely there's space for Everton to finish 10th. And I think in the next 5-10 years, we're gonna see a resurgence with Everton, at least in terms of the new owners, what they want to do. Because I know they changed ownership in the last season for sure.
Even
Um,
the 70s, 80s, you're talking about. Like, I remember Everton normally growing up used to be sixth. They used to be
yeah,
a top six side. They were always like top six, top seven. Everton
yeah,
will know. Everton are a culture club normally in Premier League. Like when it comes to Premier League legacy and everything, to Everton, 2000s were always finishing, and Moyes was always key to that. So normally Moyes is back at home. I feel, yeah, they got something in the tank to pull. So yeah,
absolutely. Barclays Heritage. Everybody remembers Cahill. I think
yeah,
Osman. We know them names.
Leighton
Um,
Baines and what's
yes,
two
things, yes.
things. Yeah, all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, everything's gonna come back for sure. I'm glad they didn't get relegated. I think that was good for the league. Um, so my next option for number 10, which kind of defies logic, especially because how much they decimated their squads with selling their defense, their goalie, that would be Bournemouth. The reason why I'd go for Bournemouth in 10th place is because of two reasons. One, Semenyo. It's actually three reasons. One, Semenyo. Two, Iraola. And I really believe that they're going to invest the money from all these sales back into the squad. And they're already doing that with some lower level signings. But I believe, from what I've heard about their current owner, Bill Foley, he cares about the club. He wants to invest in the club. And obviously, they've sold a lot of players. They sold Hoyson. I'm sure, and they showed Kirkers. I'm probably blanking on the other defender that got sold, as well as Kepa. So all of them, yes,
Zabani to
Zabani,
PSG
yeah,
just emptied, and the keeper to you guys, Kepa.
yeah. So they decimated their defense, which is very, very bold from them. But I believe you don't make that decision unless you're confident on the next steps. And I think, we've seen the likes of teams like Brentford being able to survive after selling, Brighton being able to survive after selling. I think this is the first really big sell off from Bournemouth. And I think they're going to reinvest in the squad. Iraola is a top coach from what I've seen him do in Bournemouth. I've seen some games against Arsenal and he played us out the park. So I feel confident that they'll be able to do a good job. Obviously, I think we predicted them earlier for 12th in already in the same pod, which I think is also realistic. But because of my faith in those factors I mentioned, I think they could do something big and finish 10th. Because Emmanuel is a better player than I expected. I think the more I watch him, I'm like, wow, this guy is actually like balling. The second goal versus Liverpool,
That
that
goal.
that's something. That's something. That literally that changed my opinion about him even more, and that's as recent as yesterday. So I think if he can keep showing up with those kind of consistent performances, I think 10th place is a very fair shout for them. So yeah, we're now going to move into number 9, ninth place in the league. We're fairly into the top 10, so we're going to be talking about teams that are probably going to be in the fight for Europe, but obviously they couldn't make it all the way and they fell out. So technically, for some, that could be a failed season, but for others, that could be progression. And who do you have for 9th place?
Sure. For ninth place, let's go with Forest for this one. So a lot of the predictions I've seen actually had Forest in the bottom 10. I think a lot of people are like secretly salty that they did so well last season. Unfortunately, I am not a part of that group. I think that the manager is highly, highly underrated. He's proven it at Wolves, at Forest as well. Excuse me. So I think just the fact that, and also from like the recruitment as well, has been highly, highly impressive. I know that they lost Elanga, but they've literally brought in like 3, 4 players to actually replace him. So they're like not really playing around at all. I know also they're trying to bring in Rico Lewis as well from Man City. So I think just from like the recruitment has been highly, highly impressive. The manager has like proven himself to be very, very competent in the Premier League. I think the level of their squad is actually higher than a lot of people tend to really value, especially in like the central midfield as well. So I think Forest could really be able to win. Like they're in the Conference League, right?
Yep.
Or what?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
Okay.
another thing I wanted to add with the saltiness.
No,
I think.
no, no,
Yeah.
no. See, so no. So per se, they were in the Conference
They're in
League. I would,
Europa.
yes. So per se, they were in the Conference League. I would probably have said that they could win that, but since they're in the Europa League, they're probably not going to win that one. So they will do they will do fine in the league. I think they'll have like a bit of a drop off, but not as much as a lot of people think.
All right, that's fair. Rafa, who's your pick for 9?
For nine, my pick for ninth is Villa, Aston Villa. So I put Villa in 9, not because um, they're not a decent side. I put them in 9 because I think this season they play in the Europa League, and I knew their manager is someone that values the Europa League more than any competition in the world. That is Unai Emery. So I feel this season Villa are gonna do. Will I say they're gonna do the impossible this year and might actually go far in the Europa League. Just keep a watch on that one. I don't know. Keep an eye on for that one. I won't really say much on that one, but I know on Emery, if there's any competition he values the most is the Europa League, and he will look to be the first manager to try. I won't say they'll win it, but to try and win it with 3 different sides. I've seen him do it with 2 different sides very well. So I'm seeing that's Villarreal and Sevilla. So now he's at Aston Villa. When he got to Aston Villa, I think they kind of skipped that Europa League step when he was with them. He just got them straight to the Champions League. And I think the Champions League was a bit too much for them. But they still held their own. I think they beat PSG. They were the only English side to beat PSG last season. And PSG faced almost everyone last season. They beat them, even though they lost on aggregate. They beat them in one game. I think the final one they lost, they beat them 3-2 or something. But still, I'm still saying, like, normally the fact that he skipped that Europa League stage, he went straight to the Champions League. I feel it was too much for them as a team. But now they're in the Europa League, I feel that is literally the manager's competition. And I feel they will do something this season. Villa are a Champions League side based on history and everything. They've won the Champions League before, and now will I say they have a manager that is playing in the competition that he loves winning more than anything. I feel he might go far with them or do anything, but it's going to tell on their Premier League form. So I feel the fact that they're going to go far in that competition is going to take a lot on them, and they might have a slight drop off. Make no mistake, Villa aside that if you go away to the Midlands, you probably always lose or something. They are a very strong side. They could go toe to toe with any top 6 side in the league. Even call Liverpool, Man City, they will beat you home or away. That one is not any this thing. But the thing is, the fact that they're playing that Europa League, and I feel he's someone that values that competition very much. I feel it might take a toll on them, and it's why I put them in 9th place. So I feel they might not be able to compete the way they did in the last 2 seasons where they were going top 4, top 5, top 4, top 5. They might have a slight drop off, which is why I put them in the 9th place. But still, Villa are a good side, and I feel they have something in store for this season. Last season, I think they were meant to make the Champions League. Something happened. It was on the final day that they missed out. I think it had to do with Newcastle or something. I can't remember again. I know what was it.
Yeah, so what happened was that Villa needed to beat Man United and Newcastle needed to lose their game. I'm pretty sure Newcastle won and Villa lost.
Okay, yeah, because I remember it was down to the final day of the season, yeah, and everything just changed. Yeah, the whole table thing changed. Yeah, they could have made it, but yes, everything changed. So yeah, for this season, my pick for 9th position is Aston Villa. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, Toby, your shout.
Fair one. Because it makes sense, especially if they're going to do a deep run in the Europa League. One thing I will say, the reason why I put my hand up when you were speaking earlier, you said that Villa were the only English side to beat PSG. That is not true. In the group stage, Arsenal faced PSG. Arsenal gave PSG 3-0 in the league phase. No, this is the second time I'm seeing this thing. Propaganda on socials, man. Oh my God, bro. Oh my God. But yeah. It's not a big deal because I know someone's gonna
Apologies. Actually, I don't know why I always skip that thing. Everyone usually skips that. PSG actually faced Arsenal in the group stage. I don't know what's in my head is the fact that they always.
I think there's an internal thing that's stopping people from giving Arsenal some props. We don't need to go into that. That's not what this is about. But it's not a big deal. They still carried the league. They still carried the competition. They still gave Arsenal home and away in the semi-final stage. So I can't really talk. I just wanted to just drop that little. We beat them once, So it's something. It's building blocks. But you know what? For Villa, that makes sense. But you know what's interesting? In the last week's episode, I actually predicted Villa to finish fifth in the league to make it to Champions League, just because they're going to be out of the Champions League in the Europa League. Because, like you just said, they were on the last day so close to making Champions League football while they had Champions League football. So it's a drop down in competition for them. So I feel like they have a deep squad in wing, in midfield. Their defense isn't necessarily the deepest, I will admit. But if they can keep Ollie Watkins happy and this new striker that they signed from France, I think they might be able to make that fifth position. But for ninth place, I actually have the same pick as Anu, and I'm also going for Forest. And the reason why I'm going for Forest is because they're a very consistent side in terms of like their players. I think they've been able to take their team up to a new level. Although they lost Elanga, they're a team that's going to be investing. But I think what's going to be interesting with Forest this year is I feel like they're a team now that kind of has a little bit of controversy. Every year something is in the news about them with their owner, him trying to hire a referee, him going on the pitch to have a conversation with the coach about the performance. Like, he's a very explosive guy. He's gonna rub people off the wrong way, but I like his energy and I like what he brings to the league. He should definitely just like keep it at this level. He shouldn't go past what he's already done. I think he's already explosive enough, right? What are you gonna say, Rafa?
I think also, I know we're talking about the fact that everyone is despised. I think there's a word he was saying about like no one likes the guy. I think it has to do with the fact that he said he's the one that snitched on Palace. Palace
Yeah,
won the Europa League, and the owner of Palace, the same person that owns there's a club in Lyon, I think.
yeah,
He owns Lyon and Palace, and they were both in the Europa League. I think he snitched, and they now had to investigate, and he sold like his shares or something. It had to do with something. I don't know how he ended, but it ended up because you're Leon staying in the Europa League and Palace going down to the Conference League. That's what happened.
yeah.
So I think that's why a lot of people still don't really like the guy. He's everything and anything. He's always just there.
He's always gonna fight for his club, and you're right. It's not like one thing I will clarify there is like they were already having issues because they missed the deadline to submit for multi-club ownership, Palace and Leon. But
Yeah,
Marinakis decided to make his own submission on top of that to be like, hey guys, make sure you look into them really well. They've missed this deadline, yo. You shouldn't be letting them in. And at the end of the day, a lot of people are saying like, bro, the commission already knocked them out. You don't need to be adding your 2 cents in to like, stoke the flames. He doesn't need to. But I guess he's that kind of guy that wants to be like aggressive and abrasive. He's the same dude, like, Tottenham was gonna sign their best player. I'm blanking on his
yeah.
name right now.
Morgan Gibbs White.
On Gibbs White, right? And
It
then
was literally here we go. It was literally here we go.
a week later, we see the interview. Marinakis right next to the player. That's the energy I want to see, bro. He's like, no, you signing this contract, son. You signing this contract, son. So yeah, so he can be a lot, and I think he's gonna come with a lot more of that this season. I don't know if we love the characters, we love the Jose Mourinho's, So
Yeah.
like respect, that shit. So yeah, more of that. So for sure, I'm going Forest. They have a top coach. They have a team that's invested, and I think they're gonna take it to the next level for sure. Now we're gonna take it to the eighth position. I don't believe eighth place might qualify you for Conference League right now. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, eighth place will be able to go into the Conference League. Like I said, these are teams trying to make it to Europa, make it to Champions League, but obviously have to take a consolation prize because they couldn't take it all the way to that top level. And who's your pick for eighth place?
Sure. So for this spot, I'm gonna go with Spurs. I think the new manager is a very, very good gaffer. I think he's proven that with a smaller team, I think they have already like shown a lot of improvement from last season, especially with regards to their set pieces. I watched the Super Cup and they were very, very impressive from their set pieces. And I think also regarding the recruitment as well has been fairly good with the signing of Mokudos as well as Joao Palhinha. I know they plan on trying to sign
Is it?
Ibera Eze as well. So I think they really have a very good chance of having like a bit of a bounce back, I guess. So yeah.
Rafa, who's your pick for eighth place?
Yeah, Spurs for eight. Spurs for eight. I feel is harsh though, but yeah, I hear it. But because in my opinion, I feel this season Spurs have a lot will I say to show. Like I feel this season Spurs might maybe you guys talked about it last week, but for me this season top six is going to be the big six. That's for me. I think the world is healing right now. Everyone is coming back. Like there's no 14, 13, all those freak season. Like the big six are back in top six. That's my own opinion. Like there's no like it's going to show this season. Like you see everyone now, everyone has had a taste of everything. The season Aston Villa went to Champions League. They tasted it. They saw how it was. They couldn't do it back to back. Newcastle tasted Champions League. They couldn't do it back to back and everything. But now I feel now the big six for me are back in top six. That's what's going to happen. But yeah, she'll go. What you want to say?
So I guess the question is, why are Spurs in the Big Six? Because I know they won like the Europa League and all of that, but like from the perspective of being in England, they've not really won that much, have they?
No. They haven't. No, they have. But what you look at the big six is just like consistency, like growing up and the teams that finished in the top six the most. Just normally, even before Man City became Man City, Champions League used to always be between or you see that fifth, sixth used to always be between Man City and Tottenham. There was even a season there used to be like there was even a run, I think like 3 seasons in a row where Champions fourth position used to be like Spurs, Man City, Spurs, Man City. You see, they'll do one season and this one will do the other. Like they were always like back and forth and everything. And but I'm just saying, like normally, like Spurs, if you're talking about like big six, regardless of the trophies or anything you're trying to say, Spurs have always been a consistent side. They've brought out Premier League legends. Gareth Bale played for Spurs. Luka Modric played for Spurs. We're talking about like you're looking back and talking about like where are all the because normally Big Six is not just like it's not just like the trophies. It's more like the teams that have had the best players in the league for the longest. You can't take it away from Spurs. Spurs have had a say in that one, and I know a lot of you people might not like Spurs because they're rivals, Arsenal fans and everyone. The truth is, in terms of like big six, you can't take it away that big six will always be the Manchester clubs, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, and Spurs. Every other team normally they try to come in and taste it, but you see it's the same thing with Newcastle. They've been trying to force their way in. But I'll be honest with you, it's not. It's. I don't think it's going to work. Even right now, their boy is literally going on strike not to play for them. You don't see this with any of the big six sides. You can't see a player saying he's going on strike because he doesn't want to play for his club in the big six side. You could do like this to say Harry Kane. You want to say Harry Kane or who? But I feel
I want to say Manchester United's bomb squad right now. I feel like there's something going on with those players that aren't being sold but aren't also training with the team. You know?
But that's the thing. Now those ones want to play. That's the thing. Like if you leave someone like Sancho is ready to sit down there and not go anywhere. I promise you. Same thing. Like he doesn't give a fly. Like if you don't want, because normally it's more on the manager doesn't want to play him. But left to Sancho, if you don't want to sell him to the club he wants to go to, he's ready to sit down there and not go anywhere. Unlike if you're talking about like what Isak is doing. Isak right now say, let me go or I die. Like just leave me, put me out the door. But they're saying no, we have to find a replacement before we sell you. But what I'm still saying is, when you're a big six side, these kind of things don't happen. Normally, players can say they want to leave, but it's very respectable. Like you say, okay, you could speak to the person, they'll say, okay. Or if you can't sell the person, nothing is going to happen. Heaven won't fall. Like nothing is going to happen. We'll keep you there and you finish out everything and play well. It's not going to get to that level. But I'm saying like I'm saying these are one of the things that you say, okay, yes, this is why these are big six sides. But when you look at teams like Newcastle or Aston Villa or even Brighton, I promise you, if they'll go on strike, they're not going to do anything. They won't play at all. They will stop even showing up for training and anything just because they want to force a move. But at the big six sides, no one is going to do it that level. Yes, we all know these players might want to leave, but they're not going to get so disrespectful with the club because they won't disrespect the club because normally these clubs are the big six sides. That's the one I'm hitting at. But yeah, what do you want? You want to say something?
No, I'm agreeing with you. And every day, like Big Six, they are the ones with the biggest fan bases as well. So like their presence, you can't ignore it. You're always gonna feel it. Like Newcastle and Villa are gonna try as much as they can but they don't have those worldwide fan bases. The only way you can do it is if you start winning trophies and people, the next generation start to follow your club the way Man City did it. But the problem is PSR. You can't invest the way Man City and Chelsea were able to invest. They're held back. So for now, all they can do is try to manage and stay in that conversation of fourth place to eighth place. And I think eventually the rules will change, like they always do at some point, and then they need to be ready to attack. But it's going to be tough for them. I understand what you're saying in terms of the world is healing with the players. Not with the players, but teams, right? The top six going back to being the top six again. I know the Spurs and Man United, where Spurs and Man United had a terrible, terrible season. I believe Rafa did make his pick, but I forgot what his pick was.
I haven't. My pick, because we just went off. Yeah, my pick for 8th is Nottingham Forest. Because he was saying his pick was Spurs. I was just trying to get on the fact that I feel it was just harsh. But yeah, my pick for 8th position is Nottingham Forest. I feel Nottingham Forest will probably finish 8th this season. I think they play in the Conference League, yeah. So I feel I feel Nottingham might win the Conference League though. I'll be honest with you, like the level in the Premier League is so high that I don't see any team anywhere winning anything even when in Europe, basically, the level is so high. That's why when we're talking about the big six sides, if I put the big six in La Liga right now, all that Barcelona, Real Madrid, 95 points, 92 points, it's not going to happen. It doesn't work that way. Like the league is so high right now. The level in the league is so high. So even you see Nottingham Forest now going to a Conference League. I kid you not, they could win it. I think the 2 seasons the Conference League have been on now. 2 Premier League sides have won it: Chelsea and West Ham.
West Ham
won it the other year. Okay, yeah, Roma won the first one. Yeah, where Chelsea and West Ham. But I'm just still saying, like as it is right now. Okay, not in mind the Europa League this season. Yeah, sorry, Crouch.
Conference. Yeah.
We're in the Europa League this season. Yeah, but still, yeah. When you're even looking at the Europa League, still like 2 Premier League sides played in the final. Like in the last 4 or 5 years in the Europa League, there's always a Premier League side in the semi or final. Like it's always like that. Them not winning or them not getting to the final. It's probably like a penalty kind of thing, and it's been happening recently. Even the year that Man United lost to Villarreal, it was like a penalty kind of thing, and it's always been like that. So I'm still going down the 8th position that is Nottingham. I feel Nottingham this season they're 8th because I feel Europe will take a toll on them, because these clubs, when they go out in Europe, I feel they're going to do so well this season. Everyone is going to feel the Premier League. Don't worry. From the Champions League to the Europa League to the Conference League, you see the level of the Premier League, and it's going to show. So, yeah, Nottingham playing in the Europa League, it will be there. Nottingham last season, they were actually very, very strong. Like, it's still crazy how you find out that Nottingham didn't make Champions League football, because I think 65% of the season last season, they were always in the top 3 or top 4. That time. I think it just had to take like the last 1.5 months before they just fell out of form and everything changed. But like I'm saying, like this season, everyone is all the Premier League teams in Europe are actually going to do so well, and for Nottingham, I feel it could show. So them not finishing as high as they did before is going to be there. Like I said, the Premier League is healing. Top 6 are back. Big 6 are back. So the top 6 prediction for me is the big 6 sides. I don't know how it's going to be first to 6, but it's the big 6 sides. Tottenham for me this season are actually going to do well. I'm not even kidding. They're actually going to do well. I saw them go toe to toe with what's the name, PSG in Super Cup, and that's a very good side. You don't just lose in here, they lost, but they lost after 90 minutes. It went to penalties. It's not like there was extra time or anything, but yeah, they've gone toe to toe with, and see Palace beat Liverpool in the what's the name, Community Shield. They beat City in the final of the FA Cup. Right now, Chelsea are in the 80th minute or 81st minute, and they can't even score. This so yeah,
it's a long season.
Huh?
It's gonna be a long season for sure.
It's gonna be a very long season. So yeah, that's it. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna hop in now for my spot for 8 pick. So although yes, I do feel the top six, the big six, the league is healing. Big six are going to come back to take their places, but I don't think just yet. I still think there's going to be a little bit of delay this season before they could possibly mount it. I don't think we're going to be able to see the big six be the big six again, just because how much the league is investing. There's money everybody where everybody's spending over 100 M year on year. So I don't think the big six are necessarily always going to be in there. I think there's going to be one team or two teams from the traditional big six that are always going to fall out just because of coaching issues, player roster issues, or just not just underperformance in general. Because I think it's just going to be competitive, and there are always going to be smaller teams trying to get into that big six continuously from now on. My pick for eighth position is going to be Manchester United. Obviously, they had a shocker season last year. They finished in 15th or 14th, or yeah, I think it was 15th position because I think Spurs finished in 16th or 17th. No, Man U was 16th, Spurs was 17th. Crazy, because these are supposed to be no, because I can't believe it, man. Like it's just a little bit more. We're in relegation zone. I can't imagine the Spurs getting relegated. It's absolutely crazy. I don't know if I'm an Arsenal fan and I want to, dance on my enemies, but like it gets to a point I start to feel bad. But at the end of the day, right, the league is the league and they were massively underperforming. I think where they should have finished last season was probably closer to 12th, 11 in terms of how those teams were. But now they have better consistency because of a good preseason. I think they had good results in their preseasons. I believe, Man United had a lot of transfers, and I think the players that they've brought in are going to elevate them. They're going to score a lot more goals with Mbuemo and Cunha and Sheshko as well, especially on top of what they already had. So I think United will be just fine. The only reason why I can't see them going into that top six is because they don't have a top six defense just yet. I could be wrong, but I think the fact that I don't know if their system in terms of style of play is fully there. They had issues last year. I don't know if those issues are corrected just yet. So because of my doubt in their system as well as how their defense performs, I'm going to leave them in eighth position. Next, we're going to talk about seventh place. And who's your pick for seventh place? I believe you're muted. And
Yes.
let's get him
My
on.
pick for seventh. My pick for seventh is Villa. So I think Villa will do just about what they did last season, but they're kind of like the opposite of a Bournemouth in the sense that instead of having problems with their defense, they're having problems with their offense. So they've sold a lot of their wingers, a lot of them. So I really don't know who will play like the wing positions. And a lot of the times they played like the Ramsey guy there too. So it's like they really don't have a lot of options. And I know they brought that guy from France, right? From Nice.
Yeah,
Yes. But I don't think he is at the level of like a Watkins, for example. And apart from like Marlon, who they have on like the flanks, I can't really name anyone else. So per se, like their top players in like the front line were to get hurt, they might be in a lot of problems, guys.
Yeah. If I could hop in on that Villa point, one thing I will say is that the way they use their play, the midfielders, a lot of the times they have their midfielders playing wing. Because I'm pretty sure yesterday when I watched their game against Newcastle, John McGinn was playing right wing or right midfield. He was the one on the right on the right trying to make the crosses in. And honestly, he was looking good. He didn't look too bad. And I was going to also mention they brought in Buendia is back for them as well, so he's probably going to play some shifts on the side. Morgan Rogers is going to probably do a shift on the side. This Ollie Watkins can do it sometime from time to time. Marlon is there, like you mentioned. Leon Bailey as well. It's not perfect, and I think they have one or two youngsters that could probably do a job. It's not perfect, but I think they could do something. They might. They need. I think coaching is the solution. Coaching might be the solution for them. If they can coach a good offense, they will get some goals. What are you gonna say?
Yeah. Look, fair play. The thing is, what happens if McGinn should get hurt? That is what I'm saying. So it's like, bro, I'm pretty sure they still play in Europe, right?
Yeah, then the Europa League.
And Europa League.
So, bro, 3 games a week with with that squad, I'm really not confident at all on that, man.
They need some signings. They need some signings.
Yes.
Yeah, window isn't over. They need some signings for sure. Rafa, who's your pick for seventh place?
My pick for seventh place is Newcastle. So I don't know if I don't, what's that thing that's happening with Newcastle? You know that meme where they say, "Who wants me?" No, everyone's who wants me. And that's what's been happening with Newcastle right now. I think they haven't been able to get any of their transfer targets, and the ones that they even have, well, I say the only person that they have, their best player, is refusing to play for them. That is actually the worst this position to find yourself in if you're a club that's in the Champions League, or a club that just returned to the Champions League after missing out on the Champions League just the season before. And I think that's the place that Newcastle are in, and it's a very bad taste on their side, because Newcastle are a side that are being funded by Saudi. I think it's a Saudi investment fund. So when you're talking about like a Saudi investment, is either PAI fund, you think that they should be able to buy anyone they want to. That's still why I was still talking about that big six side is still on heritage. Newcastle won what's the name? They won they won a trophy. Yes, that's the trophy.
Carabao,
yes.
yeah.
And what's his name? The player said no, he doesn't want to play for you, and that's what it is. And they're in the Champions League. He won a trophy. He led them to a trophy, and he scored in the final in the Champions League. And even at all of that, he said nah, because that team doesn't have. It's not Big Six heritage. But make that one is still talk for another day. I'm still on the fact that Newcastle finishing in seventh is still down to the fact that they've not been able to buy any of the players they wanted to get. Down from, I think they started from the beginning of the transfer window. Like everyone's been rejecting them. Every single player, from the strikers they wanted Delap, they wanted João Pedro. They want every single player they've been going for. Said no, not you. We'll go to this guy. No, not you. And it's a bad taste for the club. And now they're back in the Champions League, not being able to buy these players, it could affect them. And I feel it's going to tell on their league position. I think they wouldn't be top six that they've been in the last 2-3 years. I feel they will be seventh now, and I think they have a lot to do right now, trying to convince what's his name, Isak, to play for them. I don't know why I still feel Isak might end up leaving. I don't know. I have a feeling he might end up leaving. Like, you never, all these kind of things probably be like they go down to like the final day of the transfer window, but he might end up leaving. But in the situation that he doesn't end up leaving, they need to find like a compromise, find a way to speak to him. Yesterday, I saw the game they played. They were playing Anthony Gordon as a false nine. Like, bro, what are we doing? As a touchline winger, playing him as a false nine. But yeah, what you want to say, Anu?
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Isak, look, in my view, if I were the manager, speaking hypothetically, of course, he needs to leave, man. He needs to leave, because just for like the vibes, right? So per se, he were to like return and score goals, I'm sure a lot of his sins will probably be forgiven, but the vibe will still be there. So I think that for both parties, it's probably just smarter to get like a clean break, I guess.
So it's the same why I feel he might leave. What do you want to say, Toby?
No, finish up, then I'll see.
Oh, that's why I feel it's because of all of this. When you think about all of this, why I feel he might leave. But that's actually what they need to do, if at all anything. Because if at all he ends up not leaving, it's going to be bad. That's literally, I think, it's like the highest paid player, keeping him on the bench or having to convince him and beg him or something. I don't know how it's going to work, but I don't think any one of them will want to do that. So yeah, it's why I think that Isak will probably end up leaving Newcastle before the window shuts, and you never know where he might go. He might not end up going to Liverpool like we all expect. You might just end up seeing him at PSG, because the PSG I saw in the Super Cup are a team that still needs a striker. Like, for all that false nine thing Dembele is doing, they still need a striker. So you never know. Like, Isak is one of the best strikers in the world at the moment, if not top 5. So yeah, in terms of like moving to any club in the world. It's the fact that he says he doesn't want to play for this club. Interests are never far for him. Like anyone who wants him when they see that this guy is up for sale, and which he is. So the Newcastle right now, all I'll just say is how they patch up their squad before this window, before the transfer window shuts, says a lot on how their season is going to end up. Because I won't lie, it's not looking good for them. That top five finish or top six finish from last 2 years, I don't know how it's going to work this season. If they haven't gotten any replacements per se, it's just like a one team. There's just a, like let's say they just have a first 11 and that is it. And they're trying to compete on all fronts. They won the Carabao Cup, they've tasted trophy, and I feel they probably want to taste it again. They saw how it united their whole city. I think Newcastle is the only, yes, again, Newcastle is the only club I know from a city that's from they're the only club I know that is from a city in the UK that is the only club in that city. Most cities in
Leeds.
the UK, they usually have, okay, Leeds as well, Leeds as well. They usually have like multi clubs in the city. So you can see like Newcastle basically is the whole city that came together for them. So I know as they are like this, they want to win something again. They've tasted it and they want to taste it again. So I know this season the way I see Newcastle, they're going to be competing on all fronts, and they're back in the Champions League. They'll probably want to go far in the Champions League if at all, probably even get to the round of 16 or something. So trying to do all of that and trying to balance that with their league form and everything. I don't know how it's going to work. The fact that they've not been able to sign any of their transfer targets, and the fact that what's the name, the transfer window is literally almost shut, and everything is looking bleak like this. So for me, Newcastle, for me, seventh position. I don't think they might be able to pull any higher than that. Yep. So to be.
I think that's fair with Newcastle. It's gonna be tough for them with the whole situation with Isak. I think for Isak, right, I would say if Newcastle is really serious about making that push into top six, they have to not sell him. And not even because they want to keep him and retain his talent and his services. It's more of a messaging to the league, to their squad, to their fans, to the world, to let them know that listen, you can't boss us around like this. When you sell a player like Isak in this kind of situation, you just give people a mindset subconsciously you are a selling club. They might not be saying it outwardly, but subconsciously you are a selling club, and the vultures will come in as you continuously try to progress. If at the very least you take the L, quote unquote, keep him for another year and sell him for 80 million, that is more positive for your squad. I understand the downside of him being bad vibes to the squad if the situation is off, but I think all those things are repairable. These are guys, these are lads, bro. Anybody, you can just wind them and you'll be able to change their mind if you put the money on the table. You figure out a deal. They are ways back. Suarez had this issue with Liverpool. Ronaldo had this issue with United before he eventually left. Harry Kane had this issue with Spurs before he left. So like it's not a new thing. Modric had this level before he left to Real Madrid, where players want to down tools before they go, and they want to fight for their move. I think obviously he's going to do what he needs to do, but I think for the sake of Newcastle giving him an opportunity, the fact that they won a trophy last year, they should cut the check, give him a bigger salary, and put a release clause for next summer, and then he can hop off next summer. And I think everybody gets what they want. They can be competitive. They don't have to take massive steps backwards in their own progress, and Issa can get paid and get that move for next summer, and he can keep playing because it's a World Cup year as well. I don't think at the end of the day, this thing is not good for his image as a star, and he shouldn't mess up the relationship he has with Newcastle fans. I think Isak should stay. Obviously, I'm speaking as an Arsenal fan. I don't want Liverpool getting stronger, and like Newcastle, right? If you want to compete and be a top six side, why sell your best player to a team that's gonna make your chances of top six even harder? If I'm them, I sell outside of the league on the Sar way, like the producer said, or he goes to PSG, like Rafa said. I think there's so many solutions out there, and I think they'll find a way. I'm not too moved by this. But going back to the topic, my seventh pick is actually gonna be Spurs. The reason why I went for Spurs is because I'm actually so surprised by Thomas Frank and how fast he's been able to get this Spurs team back on track. I kind of did like Ange at Spurs because of their style of going forward, scoring goals. He was given the aura, given energy, and he's good with quotes. He'd be dropping some nice quotes that give a lot of good vibes. But the problem is they were leaky defensively. They didn't have a good structure defensively, and they were just all about we'll try and score more goals. well, you don't know Premier League low blocks, bro. There's only so many goals you can score. So you need some structure to be able to move forward. And I think Frank is bringing a lot of that in. I think he's not trying to be too defensive too soon. He's using them and trying to make the best of their strengths. Kudus is looking really, really good. Richarlison 2 goals yesterday for Spurs against I believe Burnley they played. I have never seen Richarlison score like this since like the early days at Everton. So I'm actually spooked because I thought Richarlison was a full-on dud. But he's balling out. I'm happy for him. He does have a lot to say for himself. He can be a bit annoying on the pitch, but it's good to see him score some crazy goals. So positive for him individually. I'm not happy for Spurs that he's balling out, but Thomas Frank is looking good, and as a unit, I think they're going to do really well. But yeah, seventh place is as good as I can go for Spurs. Rafa, what are you going to say before we hop onto the awards?
No, I said there's that thing they usually say about Richarlison during the World Cup here. That's when he comes back. You see him, the World Cup. He could be shit. He could be shit. Like the rest of it. He could be shit like the whole year. Like when is the World Cup here? You see him back. That's when he starts scoring the bangers. I can see him like he's trying to lead that for Brazil.
World Cup year is always very funny because people are saying like Rashford is going to have his best season ever just because World Cup is coming up. World Cup does crazy things to these players, man. But yeah, does anybody want to say anything else about the top 12 to 7 before we move on to the award section? I think we good. We Gucci. All right, we're moving on to our awards prediction. We're going to be doing 4 awards: top scorer, top assist, player of the year, and young player of the year. For top scorer, Anu, who's your pick?
My pick is the Pharaoh, Mo Salah.
Mm.
So, season after season, year after year, people keep waiting. When will the fall off come? Well, guys, I'm here to tell you it's not going to be this season, lads. It's simply not going to be this season. Mo Salah is going to cement himself as a Premier League great this season. He is going to be top 3 Premier League top goal scorers of all time, and is going to be top 10 for his assists as well. So for me, top scorer, Mo Salah.
Respectable. Rafa, who's your pick?
Pick is Erling Haaland. No matter how you want to put it, saying the guy is what's that word they use? They say the guy he just only knows how to tap in, or is it tap in merchant or whatever. Phil Haaland is the best. He's the best finisher in the world, no matter how you want to put it. There's no one that is better than him at finishing. And I think last season was a drop off, not just because it wasn't just on him. It was like a drop off for the whole squad. That was Man City. So I feel this season, I think City have actually found their mojo a bit. Like I think they've actually clicked with after a surgical summer. They went in. Daddy Sheikh, give me another 200. They put that in. I think City are back. Like make no mistake, City are back this season, and Haaland is actually going to be firing on all cylinders. I think this season, Haaland might even be going. He might even want to break his own record, which is a possibility. Big this thing down to it is I feel someone was saying something like Haaland probably has a release clause that nobody knows, but we never know. But because normally I still see Haaland as someone that ends up playing in a Madrid, Barcelona, one of them. He could replace Lewandowski or somebody, you never know. But that one is aside. But for me, top scorer this season is Erling Haaland. I don't think anyone comes close to him. He's gonna go for the 30 goal mark or something this season.
I think both of you make a good pick. I think those are the most realistic ones, especially Holland. Like he's a monster. He is that Norwegian goal scoring machine, and he's gonna bang goals. Like that one is too clear. Nobody can take that away. Salah, I think, is really bold because, like you said, we keep waiting for him to leave that peak, but he keeps staying there. And I want to just give a lot of respect to Salah's name. He could have gone Saudi this last 2 years, but he still wants to stay and cement it. That's what ball is about, man. And I want to just say thank you, Salah, for like trying to keep the elite ball elite. Like he's not trying to go and run away to go and make some bread. He's trying to make history. That's what's up. So shout out to Salah. And both of you have two very realistic picks for highest goal scorer. Those are the guys that have won it the most in the last decade or last 5 years at least to keep it like recent times. I'm gonna go for a little bit of delusion, and I'm also going with delusion because of my pick for who's going to win the league. If I'm going to support my pick for winning the league, I'm going to have to go with Victor Gyökeres. And I do have a little bit of logic to support it. Victor Gyökeres was the highest goal scoring striker in Europe last year. In Portugal, big asterisk. The world's the biggest asterisk in Portugal, right? But if I'm gonna say he's gonna win the league for Arsenal, and it's gonna be that big change, somebody that has that many goals inside of him. People say that, oh, if he can hit 15 goals, it's a good season. I'm looking for 25. I'm looking for 25 goals from Victor Gyökeres, bro. And I need to. That's the minimum. So I think he can score more in the Prem. I know every day that's delusional. I know every day like it's romance, but like it is what it is. Dreams are free. That's why I keep telling people dreams are free. So because Gyökeres for highest goal scorer, that's my shout. He's gonna lead Arsenal to the Premier League.
Funny enough, you're not. To be honest, if not for agenda changes people. I used to love that guy. I used to love Gyökeres. I love him. He's a very good striker. I feel like that's why I'm the kind of person that I feel numbers don't lie. A lot of people always try to say this one doesn't fit your team. This one cannot pass. This one cannot do that. When you see, bro, what are the stats saying? The stats say that this guy scores goals. No matter how you want to put it, he's there. It was the same way it's what happened to Haaland when Haaland was at Salzburg. Haaland was going band for band, Champions League top scorer. Then everyone I was like, why are people not going after this guy? They were like, you don't know how he's going to fit. Premier League will change you. This one and that one. That's bro. He was scoring, and now he went to Dortmund. He started the same thing. The numbers I feel that's how it is in football. If you're putting in the numbers, he's there. Forget about what anyone is saying, because normally it's not just whether you're passing or whether you're doing this. Everything is still down to scoring the goal, and that is why we're all watching the game. And yeah, it's a very good shout. I won't lie. It's funny, yeah, we're laughing, but Gyökeres he's not lying. Numbers didn't lie. He was the highest goal scoring player in Europe last season in what football, basically. So yeah.
If he integrates, it's possible. If he can't integrate well, it is what it is. It's probably gonna be Salah or Erling Haaland. All right, so we're gonna move on to the next award, and it's gonna be the top assister. So this is obviously the player with the most amount of assists. In previous years, it's gonna be guys like Salah, guys like De Bruyne. That at the end of the day, when it comes to assists, we give it to them. Obviously, the assist record hasn't been broken in a long time. So maybe we're looking for that this year. It's people have come close in previous seasons, but for some reason, no one can seem to break that record. Who's your pick for top assister, Anu?
Sure. So for this one, I'm gonna go with CP10, Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer. Jesus, he's central to everything that the Blues do. Literally everything. And if they plan on trying to win anything this season, it has to go through Palmer. And if it does, it would definitely be the top assister.
Yep, for sure. He's a top player. Cold Palmer. Rafa, who's your pick for top?
Same. CP10, Chippy Chips. That's my is my own shout for top assister, Cole Palmer. I feel normally Cole Palmer the last year, would I say second half of the season, he actually had like a bit of a bad form. It was like a bump in his form, and yeah, I think it was even the whole team basically. But on his day, I think Palmer is head and shoulders above anyone in the league, left to me. Like, that's my own opinion. So yeah, I think this season, if anything is going to happen at Chelsea, Palmer is key to that. And for me, he's my pick for the top assister of the season. I think in terms of like open play creation, he tops that metric. Like, when you're looking about like, I'm not talking about like set pieces and all of that. I'm talking about like actual open play, chance creation and all of that. I don't think anyone is above Cole Palmer in that metric. So yeah, for assists this season, I think Cole Palmer for me.
All right, fair play. I think Cole Palmer is a great shout. I every day like he's been able to prove me wrong. The first time he scored against Arsenal when he played for Man City, I was like, who the heck is this guy? Fluke goal, I'm not moved. But yeah, he went to Chelsea and he's been doing a mad thing. And he's been taking it, the level has been going up. And at some point, you have to be like, you know what? You got it, boss. You're him. So he is a top guy, and I can definitely see that happening. I'm so, I really tried not to sound biased, guys, with my picks. I really tried. I was like, how can I not sound biased? But here I come with more bias. And this is more to just back up my shout for Arsenal to win the league. These picks only make sense if Arsenal win the league. Because to win the league, you got to score a lot of goals, and your players have to perform the best in the league. Typically, more time, the player that wins, the team that wins the league is the team that has the highest goal scorer, highest assists. So that's just my logic. So I went for Bukayo Saka. And every day, everybody rates Saka at this point now. No one can really take away from him, from his game, and be like, oh, Saka isn't good. Like, those questions are done and dusted. He cemented himself at world level, and people rate him. I think now, if he's going to really go to that level, and I'll be the first to admit it, I never saw Saka getting to this level as an academy player. You don't really know who's going to blow. And, the name wasn't Saka coming up from the academy. But now he's been able to show us who he is and cement himself. If he can take it down one more level up, which I think he can, now with the striker that can actually finish back post, tap ins, crosses into the box with headers, I think Saka is going to get a lot of assists. If he can get 20 assists this season, I think he has a chance to win, top assister. More than 15, you're in the running. So we have to wait and see. Yeah, all right. Next, we're gonna go to the next award, and it's gonna be the Premier League Player of the Year. Obviously, I would imagine that everyone's gonna pick the player that they think is gonna win, who is also gonna be in the team that wins. It's very, very unlikely for the player to win, not being the team that wins the league, unless they have like 50 goals, 50 assists, 25 plus goals, 25 plus assists combined kind of season. So, who's your pick for Player of the Year? Anu?
Probably Mo Salah again. Honestly, I think this season is gonna be his last like final season of being like properly elite, simply
Yeah,
because of simply because of like the factor of age, and I think he will truly go all out, like all out. So like I'm thinking like he's probably gonna score like 23 league goals. He might have about like 15 league assists, and obviously with his team clearly going to win the league again, yeah, Mo Salah.
Rafa.
That's actually a big shout. If you think Salah will go 3 times, winning them Player of the Year 3 times, because I think the record is two. Yeah, I think is Ronaldo and
Vidic.
yeah Vidic. Yeah, I don't think anyone Salah. If he's doing it 3 times and winning the league, then Salah is going to be like an all timer in the Premier League. Basically, that's what it's going to
Yeah.
look like. So, yeah, that one's for me. My pick for Player of the Year, not to sound biased like Toby will say, boys. Cole Palmer. Told you, like for me, on his day, I think he's head and shoulders above everyone in the Premier League. I think this season is going to be the season everyone is going to see that. It's not going to be like Chelsea fans are always just making noise and this one. I think everyone is going to see it. And this season, yeah, is back. We're in the Champions League, so everyone is going to see it. Everything is going to be televised. So this season in the Premier League, if anything is going to happen with Chelsea, it's always going to be with Parma. If we're going to make the Champions League top 3 or top 4 place this season, Parma is central to it. And I know that normally Parma on his day, with that his what's that thing word I want to use? That thing that Messi has. As I'm not sure. Okay, let me know use the wrong word. So I'll sound very respectful, but there's that thing I know that Palmer has. But when he shows it, when he starts displaying it, you know that bro, no one is stopping him. And I know Palmer this season, yeah, he's gonna show the world. That
Yeah,
is my player of the year pick. Yeah.
fair play, man. My player of the year. I'm also going to continue. This is the last time I'm going to say a biased call. This in this award section. So I have to apologize to the fans. I'm trying my best. But yeah, I know. But my player of the year is going to be. It's crazy. People are going to even think this is wilder. It's not going to be Gyökeres. It's not going to be Saka. It's going to be freaking Martin Odegaard. I know, makes no sense. That's like the wildest one of all of them. And people are going to be like, "What are you talking about, brother?" And I think even myself, I don't fully believe it, but I'm still thinking about Arsenal winning the league. How would we win the league? What would need to happen for Arsenal to win the league? And I think we would have to see Odegaard at his powers, peak of his powers, in terms of it, the person that leads the team, drives the team, and creates, controls, does it all. The Modric of Arsenal, that kind of thing. He would have to have his best season ever for Arsenal to win the league. I think that's very obvious. Last season, he only scored less than 5 goals across all comps, so not an all-time season. But the season before that, he did 19 goals and assists in the Premier alone. So I think he needs to go back to that level and take it even a notch higher. I knew what were you gonna say.
Yes, with the Martin shout, it's not that it's a bad shout per se. I just think it's more of a response to him being like severely. He was under a lot of
From who?
abuse.
Yeah.
last season. Yeah. So I think that.
The reason
So
why I would go ahead,
yeah.
finish up.
No, yeah. I mean, so
Yeah,
I
sorry.
can get the reason you're being a bit defensive about it because he really didn't have that bad of a season. But bro, I really can't see him having a barnstorming season to the extent that he wins Player of the Year, bro. He needs to play fucking phenomenally. And like,
Yeah.
look, man, love Odegaard. I love Odegaard, and I've like loved him since like the Spain days. When he played for Real
Good.
Sociedad. Yeah. So it's like long time ago, bro. But there's no way he can never win Player of the Year, and it's not because he's not a good player. It's just because the numbers he would need, I really don't see him having them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Before Rafa comes in, one thing I will say about Odegaard, I will clarify, it's not coming from a place of me trying to protect him. I don't think Odegaard is that. I think he rightfully got the now I won't say schooling, but whoever was harsh towards him or had some stern words for him, I think he deserved it at the end of the day. He needs to shoot more. He needs to be more aggressive. He needs to be more direct. And I think he's thinking too much on the ball. I think too much is going on in his head that's bogging him down. I did the Odegaard. The reason why I'm calling for it because like our best chance to win the league was when Odegaard was at the peak of his powers, pressing guys, not making guys week on week out, killing guys with skills, and scoring goals from outside the box, long shots driven into the bomb corners consistently. That year, he literally equaled the. I think that was 2 seasons ago. So I think 23-24 season or 22-23. I'm mixing it up. But that year, he actually equaled you. And people can fact check me. I'm pretty sure on this he equaled the tally for the most goals scored by a midfielder that were non-penalty goals ever. So like, which was Lampard, he equaled that level. He scored the most amount of non-penalty goals by a midfielder in Premier League history ever. And that was him without the striker. That was him without the team being complete. I believe if he can reach those levels, maybe break that record first. He will need to break that record first of all. He needs to score goals. If Odegaard can give me 15 Premier League goals, 15 to 20 Premier League assists, and also orchestrate in such a way that week on, week out, people are saying that, man, Odegaard is the best player in this Arsenal team. Not by best player off of goals and assists, but best player off of eye test. I believe if he can get those three things and he can be the one that gives Saka and Gyökeres a platform to perform, I think that would be the formula that makes him be the guy to win. At the end of the day, the long shout is very, very unlikely. It's probably like a 5% chance that happens. But like I said, I'm thinking about if everything goes perfectly. If this was an FM Football Manager 2026 run and everything was on easy mode for Arsenal, that's how it would have to happen for them. Rafa, what was yours? And then we're gonna, go into the last award and then close out.
Yeah, for me, like normally in the Arsenal midfield, I think the midfielder that takes that's gonna change everything for you guys is Zubimendi. I won't even lie. It's not even Odegaard. Like if there's anybody I feel like you guys have been missing from time, it was an actual DM, and that was Zubimendi. Like I was praying that this guy doesn't get that DM. But when I saw that they finally got Zubimendi, I won't lie. You guys are gonna see this season. It's not. Odegaard is not the kind of person that instills fear in anyone. I won't even lie to you. If I'm even watching an Arsenal game, or if there's anybody I know that is actually going to make anything click, it will probably be Saka. Saka, if when the chips are down, is D Rice, Declan Rice. But I'm saying right now, this season, the person that's going to change everything in that whole midfield and everything is probably going to be Zubimendi. Because I remember last season that there was a period where you say, okay, do you want to play Rice as a DM? Rice is not a DM. Rice is more of a box to box kind of guy. And now that Arsenal got like Zubimendi, I feel he's going to be the one to play the most games this season. You just watch it and see he's going to be the one to play the most games. He's the one that I feel Arteta is going to trust the most. And yeah, Zubimendi he's already gotten into the Spanish fold already. What's the name? The thingy that they just played. He was already there in their first team, and everything that Spain did right. Oh, it was part of everything. So yeah, however, if there's anything in that team that's your midfield, it's definitely easy. Yeah, go for it. What do you want to
No,
say?
finish up. Then I'll go before we do the last round. Yeah.
If there's anything, it's Zubimendi for me. That's the person I feel that's going to be like the difference maker in Arsenal. Like this season, the way you guys used to think it is Odegaard. I promise you, it's going to be like when you guys are looking for anyone that's known the team, it's always going to be Zubimendi. Arsenal fans are going to be looking out for. Yes, Saka them and what's the name will probably bring in the goals and maybe Gyökeres goals and assists. But if there's anyone that's going to be like the difference maker that you say, okay, just the way at Chelsea normally, if there's a player that's not playing, when we're talking about goals or assists, if there's a player that changes everything when we're not playing, it's most likely like I said, it's going to be Zubimendi at Arsenal. That's all who I was even thinking in the midfield because I feel normally the way Arsenal midfield is set up, if you have a Zubimendi and a Declan Rice in, you could literally put someone in the other side there to drive anything forward. And Odegaard is not that kind of dynamic guy. Like I promise you, all the abuses I saw last, it wasn't even rivals. It was Arsenal fans. I'll be honest. It was Arsenal fans that were coming for his head. But if they say because if at all Arteta is trying to do something, he could even put a Merino Rice Zubimendi midfield will move mountains more than even trying to put the Odegaard because Merino normally is a guy to get you goals and assists. No matter where I've seen that guy play striker, he'll get you goals and assists. Oh,
Brother, that midfield is stiff. Merino, Rice, Zubimendi, that midfield is stiff. Obviously, before we move into the next section, one thing I would say is like Martin Odegaard has a lot of things that he does for Arsenal. He's helping them build the ball up. He's helping help Saka assist him, and he's also helping the striker press. I think with Zubimendi coming in, you will see better from all my midfielders because we finally have a midfield that works with everybody else. So wait and see. Maybe my shout makes no sense, or maybe we'll see something from Odegaard when he plays Manchester United later today. We're going to go to the last pick, the Young Player of the Year award. This is going to be the pick where you're not going to find an Arsenal player from me, finally, but we're going to see what else everyone else thinks. I know who's your pick.
This is so ironic, isn't it? So my pick for the Young Player of the Year is Miles Lewis-Skelly. So look. I mean, for a player his age, he's played so much for his club. He's played for England already so many times. And frankly, I can't really see anyone else playing in like the left back spot for y'all. So that's why, just by the virtue of the minutes that he will have this season, as well as playing for the national team as well, I think the level of like the talent he has is pretty much impossible to gauge. He has a high ceiling that we can't really place a limit on. And I really just think that this season is the season that he finally cements himself as a Premier League regular.
Great pick. Rafa, real quick, who's your pick for Young Player of the Year?
Just one more. Skelly, I think Skelly does it. If Skelly does like what's the name? Trent. If he has like a Trent kind of explosion, then yeah, I see that happening because Skelly is a good guy. For me, my Young Player of the Year pick is Esteval Willian. You people might think I'm a madman, but I promise you, Esteval Willian has come to Europe. Everyone is going to see him. The guy that has been likened to like name. Even the game I was watching, we were having the thing. I was watching the game by the side. We couldn't break these guys down. Like they brought in Esteval in the like 65th minute, bro. The whole attack changed. I won't even lie. That guy. When I look at the fact that boy is just turned 18, it still kills me how that boy is just 18. But I feel this season like he's gonna break his way into the first 11. I think he's gonna finally, because normally they're trying to ease him in. He's gonna get that right wing for himself. But yeah, this is in my Young Player of the Year pick is Esteval Willian. He's gonna do a lot of damage this season, and yeah, that is it for me.
My pick as well is gonna be Esteval. The reason why I went for Esteval is just because, like, we've seen a lot of young Brazilians go from South America, come to Europe, different levels. Some have blown, some have not. But I think this guy, there's a way he shoots the ball from outside the box that just lets me know this guy is next level, bro. Endrick had that vibe, but Esteval has the vibe even more than Endrick, in my opinion. So I think, him taking that leap to come and join Chelsea, I think that is the good club for him. I think they will give him a good platform to perform. The question is he really ready? Is it 50-50? I think it can either be a thing where he ends up like, what's the name of this young guy that used to play for Chelsea? Charlie Musonda. Yeah, he could be a Musonda or he could blow up and become the next Neymar because it's one of the two. So I'm hoping for a Neymar. I'm hoping he has his Neymar era when he's left Chelsea. Not gonna lie, I'm sorry, yo, but like I do see a lot of good things from him. He moves really well. He shoots really well. And I think he has that like aura about him, that like mentality of listen, I'm gonna succeed. So that's my pick for Young Player of the Year award. Wow, I think obviously it's been a long ass episode, but I think it's been a really good episode as well. I've had a good time chatting with you guys about our 12 to 7 picks, as well as some of the awards for the Premier League. Thank you again, everyone who joined us. Like, comment, and please give us any suggestions in terms of things that you agree or you disagree with. And obviously, subscribe and hit the bell to be notified on our next episode, where we'll be continuing our Premier League discussion, our Premier League preview, predicting 13th place to 20th place, as well as predicting the cup winners for this season. Before I close out, Rafa, what were you gonna say?
So I need you guys to give me your predictions for the Man United Arsenal game.
Mhm. Real easy. Arsenal 2-0. Anu, what's your prediction?
So right now for the game, I'm thinking 2-2.
Okay, Rafa, what are you
Yeah.
saying?
I think a 3-1 win for Arsenal. I feel like with Liverpool, Man City winning, Arsenal are going to want to respond. And yeah, Manu will probably put in a very good game, but yeah, I think Arsenal might just be too strong with the way the
Yeah,
league is going. Yeah.
I'm hoping for a good defensive performance to carry us through, and then probably one set piece goal, and then something in the 70th minute from Gyökeres to kill it off. That's my prediction. But yeah, have a great week, everybody, and thank you so much for joining the most entertaining podcast. We're signing out. Safe.